Hi,
Well,
everyone on Patreon.
hey everyone on Patreon. Actually, John, I feel like
Yeah,
normally
this is.
you intro, but I'm intro, but
Oh,
we're just
you're
jumping
right.
right into it.
Yeah,
Well, if
this
you're
is a
on
Patreon
Patreon,
exclusive. That's right.
Patreon
Yes.
exclusive. It just dropped. Full disclosure for our Patreon members. John and I had recorded yesterday before the verdict for Karen
Yeah.
Reed came down, made our speculations, said what we wanted to say. So that's still important to listen to. But this is
Yep.
live breaking news as of 45 minutes
Minutes
ago
ago.
that
Yeah.
Karen Reed was found not guilty of murder in the retrial in her boyfriend's death. She was also acquitted of two lesser charges in the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, but she was convicted of operating under the influence, drunk driving essentially,
Yeah.
and was sentenced to 1 year of probation, which let me just say before we even get
Yeah.
into our
Let's go.
reactions.
Let's hear it.
If I had been on trial, this case happened in 2022. Okay, Karen Reed was this whole incident of his death happened in 2022. So for 3 solid years, if I'm Karen Reed and I've been like a murder suspect and on trial for this, walking away with 1 year of probation, I can't imagine the happiness she is feeling right now. Like, imagine the
Yeah.
relief that she must be feeling after all of this. And
Oh, yeah.
listen, I'm not saying she's innocent in certain ways. I think their relationship was probably pretty toxic, but she's not on trial for being a girlfriend in any sort of way, right? She's on trial for the murder. But John, I think justice was done. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said in the episode that you can hear early on Patreon and publicly this coming Sunday, to me, and I know you thought the same thing, Darren. Like, there just wasn't enough evidence without a reasonable doubt from
Yeah,
what we've seen outside of the courtroom, I should say, because maybe jurors are seeing and hearing different things
sure.
to convict her. And that seems to have held now in two different. I mean, I know they had a hung jury or whatever in the first trial, but we can make up the scenarios in our head. We can say, yes, it's very likely one thing or another happened with any trial, but as we said in the episode, you have to go as a juror with what is presented in front of you by the court of law, by our justice system. And sometimes that works very well, and sometimes that doesn't. And I don't know where, to be honest, this particular um, case would land there technically, but I would say from what we've heard, it's hard to say that you can convict Karen Reed. And it sounds like the jury got this one right, even if you don't believe what happened. The jury
I
seems to have gotten this correct.
I think so too, and I think there's a lot of mixed emotions here because obviously there's still a victim, right?
Right.
There's still someone who passed away, and he probably, I guess we don't really know, but I don't think he chose to die that day. So, there's still a victim, and there's still obviously his family that you have to think of. And so, Karen Reed leaves the courthouse today. Fans, which is so odd to think, but
I
fans
know.
are, cheering from across the room. Um,
And outside, by the
and
way.
outside. And you know
Yeah.
what? Like to some extent, I empathize with that. Like I sort of understand, right? Because if Karen Reed is a completely innocent person, anyone
Yeah.
what would want to be freed if you're being innocent no matter who you are, which is why I don't believe in the death penalty, which is why we talk about the criminal justice system. And then on the other side, you're just like, yeah, but John O'Keefe is still dead and
Yeah.
she might be acquitted, but it's still sad. The whole thing is still sad. So there's just like mixed emotions, I think, to be having. And I think the family came out with a statement of saying that this was a gross miscarriage of justice, but in just scientific take emotions out of it. I mean, I think you said it best. Like, how could you have possibly convicted her based on the evidence presented? I don't think this is a miscarriage of justice. I think this might have been a miscarriage of the prosecution. And I think that maybe they didn't really have a case and brought it immediately. And to be honest with you, I'm curious to see what the embarrassment is with the Boston PD and the prosecution, because
Yeah.
it's
There's
kind
a
of
lot
three
of,
years of many losses with them with this.
well, you made a great point. There's now a whole other set of circumstances and dominoes that are falling, which is,
Right.
let's not forget, John O'Keefe is dead. How did he die? Who's responsible for that? That's a
Right.
whole other question that hopefully people are thinking about, and hopefully there can be justice if it truly was a murder. Because again, it's not very clear how he died or who was involved with his death. So there is still a bit of a cold case in that regard now that she's been found not guilty. And right, you bring in the levels and the pieces with the Boston Police Department and all the different kind of mysterious components to that. And this case, this John O'Keefe case, the Karen Reed case is over. The John O'Keefe case isn't over. There's still
Right.
lots to figure out about that. So this may still be an ongoing conversation and an ongoing investigation that we might not hear the end of, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was reading this AP article as well as NBC News. Reed's father, Bill Reed, told reporters outside the courthouse that he felt relief and gave tremendous thanks to God when the verdict was read. We need to get our life back together, and we will, he said. Asked why he thought the second trial's outcome was different, he said, quote, another year of information circulating in the public, and people are aware of what's happened, which like is probably true, but also
Yeah,
makes me a little scared just because like she came out with a documentary
right. There's a whole documentary.
that obviously favored her side. She was in it. And I'm not saying that that's bad because obviously she was proven not guilty, but I don't really want to encourage people on trial to like go on a press tour either. So it's just an interesting quote. I
Yeah.
don't think he's wrong. I don't know how I feel about that. You
I
know what I
know
mean?
it's conflicting, especially given that we are podcasters and YouTube people that talk about this stuff.
Right.
Um, I mean, at the end of the day, though, she has every right to communicate however she wants, and until she is, proven guilty, then she
And
can do that, unfortunately.
she's not obviously there's double jeopardy, but I do think
Right.
at the end of the day, with all these questions kind of swirling, I think, boots on the ground, justice was served. She was found not guilty. She
I
should have been
agree.
found not guilty based on the evidence that was seen. She must be feeling a huge relief. I
Yeah.
obviously feel bad for John O'Keefe's family, not because they didn't find Karen Reed guilty, but just because obviously there's still this looming, circulating
Yeah.
question mark around his death, which is what we're trying to say. But
Yeah.
really interesting case that gripped the nation. This is very Gabby Petito-esque. Like
Mm.
if Brian Laundrie did not commit suicide, which obviously he was never tried for the murder of her, but I think we can kind of pretty much assume that she was, and he killed
And
her.
he in his note basically said he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this sort of like gripped it. It was much not as big maybe as Casey Anthony, but I, because it wasn't like a little girl that had passed away, but
Sure.
equally as gripping. And
I mean the roars from the cheers from the outside the
to
courtroom that
have
could
a
be heard
fan base,
inside. I mean, it is pretty significant. I hear
yeah,
what
and
you're
I
saying.
cheer the fact that she wasn't found guilty based on some just feelings, and it just
Yeah,
also goes to show that
exactly.
the police don't reign all. But yeah, I'm happy with the verdict, and
Yeah.
curious to see what she does after this and what her life looks like after
Oh,
this.
there's a book coming. There's a reality
Oh,
show in the
a Lifetime
works.
movie,
Lifetime
Hallmark
movie.
movie. Yeah.
It's all coming. Don't worry. Well, we're also curious what you guys think here on Patreon. Let us
Yeah.
know down below. What are your thoughts on the case? Do you agree? We genuinely love hearing, like, even if you disagree with us, tell us. That's kind of what the point of our
No,
show is. We love to
I,
hear the debate.
I would like to be convinced. I mean, listen, people were really mixed on Sherry Papini.
Yeah, that's true.
I think people were really
Maybe
mixed
even
on
leaning
that.
more away from what we were thinking,
I
actually.
think so too. And
Yeah.
so, and I kind of love that because I always learn
Yeah.
something new when I learn people's opinions. So yeah, let
Right.
us know. Although already the DMs that I got because I
I know.
Instagrammed, people were like, justice is served. So
Deserved.
I
Yeah.
think the sentiment's probably going to agree more with us, but yeah,
Let's
happy and
hear it.
open for dissenting
Yeah.
opinions. But yeah, more to come.
Thank you guys for joining us for this very quick reaction video. We love you on Patreon. This video is for everyone on Patreon. And if you're new here, if you may have joined us after seeing us promote it, welcome in. We love you guys. There's lots to check out and listen to and watch here on Patreon. And we appreciate your love and support. It really
We
does
do.
help keep our show going. All right. New episode will come out here in just moments after this video. And you're going to love it. That's what we're going to say.
I agree.
Bye.